Wait, do I have the right number up? Hang on. It was a bit impromptu there. Wasn't really ready for that. 17, 18. Yep, nope, we're correct. We're correct. Cool. So, apologies, because at least a couple of people are probably wondering what the hell that was. It's nothing big. Don't worry. I understand being afraid about that, and I apologize for the suddenness of that. It is fine. The other parents showed up completely out of nowhere and unannounced, and so I was just like, oh my gosh, I had to go say hi and welcome them in and visit with them for a while. And that's it. They also came bearing gifts, which is why I'm suddenly wearing a new shirt. They were primarily gifts for the kiddos, but the kiddos aren't here right now, so I had to be the bearer of the gifts. That's it. Back to the game. Let's get to the friggin' DLC, shall we?
You did indeed. My dear boy, thank you.
You wanted to make Dion a gift of one, did you not? Shall I invite him to join us?
Oh, I don't...
It's no trouble. I'll go and fetch him.
Thanks, Adam Ciuta.
Your Highness, would you do me the honor of accompanying me?
Now. It is time, then.
No, only to the shelves. Our lawsman has something he'd like to give you.
Master Harpocrates. No. I dare not show my face before him. Not after everything I have done. I have taken countless innocent lives. And ruined countless more. All because I was weak. I have sworn to atone for my crimes or die in the attempt. But were I to meet with him again, and see in his eyes what I have become, I fear that my resolve might falter.
Then that is all the more reason to do it. Test your resolve. Prove to yourself, and to him, how strong it truly is.
You are right. I must, at the very least, offer him my gratitude. Very well, then. Take me to him.
Follow me.
I love our boots, too, Von Falkenstein.
Even now, I hesitate to approach him. What must he think of me?
You'd be surprised.
Master Harpocrates, pray, accept my apologies for leaving your tutelage before my studies were complete. Your lessons opened my mind to a world quite unlike the one I had imagined from within the gilded confines of the palace. And I shall be forever grateful for the efforts you made to enlighten me.
Lift up your head, Your Highness. The deeds of youth require no apology. That you took the time to visit me says much about the man you have become. Now, there is something I would like to show you.
Is that a wyvern tail? The color is unfamiliar to me.
Because it is unique to those found in the wild. Something in the harsh environment in which they grow lends them this striking hue. Their roots are indistinguishable from those of their hothouse cousins, but once they bloom, the difference is immediately apparent. In this flower, I see you, Your Highness. Its roots were the roots of a wyvern tail, with all that implies. But they do not define it, just as yours do not define you. I want you to have it, that it might remind you of this truth.
Master Harpocrates, I would ask of you a service. Keep your gift until I have fulfilled my duty to the realm, for only then shall I be deserving of it.
As you wish, Your Highness. I shall await your return.
Our roots do not define us. No wonder my stepmother didn't like him. For reuniting me with memories I had thought long lost. I shall not forget this.
Thank you, Clive. Were it not for you, I fear I might never have found the right moment to speak with him. Not to mention the wyvern tales. I shall plant their seeds, that I might not disappoint His Highness upon his return.
I hope the soil in the hideaway is to their liking.
Why, these flowers bloomed in the bleak, black wastes of Waloed. I'm sure Nigel's yard will suit them to a T. When it comes to expressing one's gratitude, I find that words are seldom sufficient. Here.
What's this?
A stolas quill. Or more precisely, my stolas quill. 'Tis said that an owl's feathers are steeped in the wishes it hears over its long lifetime. All those words just waiting to pour out onto the page. So consider this my wish for you. That one day you may put down your sword and pick up that pen.
Well, when that day comes, I'll certainly have a lot to write about. Thank you, Harpocrates. It shall have pride of place in my chamber.
He's no fool, little one. I'm pretty sure he knows. Dion's tone would be enough. Hey, Saddlezilla. It's funny you say that. Most people think this run has been going slower than expected, but here we are, I suppose. Double check the map. Let's double check the Wenlock. Flip over here. And thank you, Wenlock, very, very much. Always appreciate that support. Thank you. After I start this next cutscene... Oh, maybe not. That's way down there. Okay, so I'll just jot it down right now. Hang on. Oh, I'm stupid. That's an anniversary sub. So thank you again, Wenlock, for 3 years of supporting me. I don't know why you do, but I appreciate it nonetheless. I'll put that anniversary sub towards War Within, Stranger of Paradise, and Satisfactory. One of these days, I might even actually get all that stuff colored. I've got days of donations I haven't put into the spreadsheet yet. I just have not had time. Actually, someone do me a favor. Go check the list really quick, please. And see what date I have for the last update.
Stop. I'm scared.
Speaking of which, Van Falkenstein, you mentioned the possibility of a MechWarrior block. The problem there is getting all of those games running on a modern system and then streamable on a modern system. The 20th, Wenlock, I think is what that means. So yeah, it's been 6 days. Sounds about right. I haven't been updated it like all week. I just haven't had time. Lie, Dream Whisperer. No, it's okay. It just took me a second, Wenlock. The dates thing, I'm actually pretty tolerant of Fahrenheit and Celsius both existing, or miles and kilometers both existing. We need to standardize the date system. It actually causes issues. Like, converting between Fahrenheit and Celsius is a very quick and easy formula, which you can just add into the middle of a string, right?
Can't be Rutherford, can it?
Just boop, done. But the date thing, there are dates that that mean completely different things depending on which system we're using, and that can really screw with code. And there's no easy conversion because it doesn't know which is which. You know, 4/6/24 means a lot different than 6/4/24, to use a random example there. Hey, Kennex Cow, welcome back.
Turncoats and cowards, the lot of you! If it's a fight you want, it's a fight you shall have!
Hey, look, bandits.
Allow me.
I don't need your...
Please, Field Marshal, oblige him.
This won't take long.
I mean, it really, really won't.
You're right. It won't. Men, finish him.
I don't think that's really political, Wenlock. The thing is, and this is something I've commented on a few times, when it comes to these kind of conversions, there's only one way that it'll ever actually be converted. And that's if we don't have a preference and we don't choose a side. As weird as that probably sounds. The moment anyone prefers one version over the other is the exact moment at which it will never get fixed. Because all you need is any reason whatsoever to prefer one version over the other and to make an argument about it. And now you've opened the door for this being an issue and it becoming a polemic issue, right? It's the same reason why daylight savings time hasn't been shut down here in the States. It's because some people were arguing for one thing to become the new standard, and some people were arguing for the other. The moment that argument even existed, the entire effort was defeated. Like, let's say, random example, let's say von Falkenstein says we should go with daylight savings time, and I have no opinion on that. But I happen to disagree with von Falkenstein, maybe because of another bill, maybe because I just don't like him, maybe because I'm on a different part of the party from him, or even in a different political party entirely from him. So now I'm going to argue against his point because he's making a point, because he has chosen a side, and therefore everyone else now has to choose, are we on your side or not? Make sense? When it comes to those kind of system things, the only real way, and this is not joking, to fix that crap is the flip of a coin. We need to just straight up flip a coin and say, this is the one we're going with, right? Because this is impartial. There's no arguing for or against this. It's just the flip of a coin, and that's the new standard. This is where we're putting daylight savings time. This is where we're sitting on the Fahrenheit and the metrics, the imperial metric system. This is where we're sitting on the date system. And nobody will do that, which is why we keep having stupid systems.
A little longer than I'd have liked.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was Zach Taft.
Field Marshal Havel, I presume. Are either of you injured?
No, my lord. You arrived just as our escort turned on us.
Fucking traitors. I'd heard reports of soldiers in the outlying regions abandoning the oaths they swore. But I hadn't thought the corruption had reached so close to the heart of the Republic. It's a fucking disgrace. Your interfering old bastard of an uncle tried to warn me, of course. My lord Marquis. Or is Sid the Outlaw more to your liking?
Call me what you want. It doesn't change who I am, or the urgency of the message I bring. My uncle has a plan to right the realm, and he needs your help to see it through.
Before I agree to anything, I'd have you answer one question. What do you stand to gain from all this?
I won't deny that I might benefit from further chaos. But I seek a new beginning for all of us. And while the choices I've made may not always have been the right ones, I know I made them for the right reasons. For so long, so many of us have been told how we could live, how we could die, when it should have been our decision all along. Now we have a chance to put things right. But in order to take it, we must stand together, even if it be beside those with whom we don't see eye to eye.
Certainly not the words I expected from an outlaw. But perhaps your uncle was right. You are no ordinary outlaw. I'll never hear the end of this. All right. I'll start by ordering my most trusted guard to bring the Dalmekian fringes under control. Next, I'll make contact with my counterparts in the Imperial Army and see if I can't convince them to try and restore order in their own territory.
Thank you, Field Marshal.
But they are not the only ones we will need to convince.
What do you mean?
I don't doubt that I can bully some sense into a few generals, but those they answer to require a different kind of persuasion. And when it comes to honeyed words, well, we will need an envoy. One who can court even the most stubborn of statesmen. You, perhaps.
Me?
I'm flattered. But I'm no diplomat either. And I have other problems to attend to. What we need is a skilled arbitrator. And I may know just the person.
Is that so? And would he happen to be an outlaw too?
Of a different kind, perhaps.
Well, beggars can't be choosers. I suppose we'll all have to find a little of the outlaw in ourselves if we're to make it through this. Very well. Send your man to me right away.
I shall.
Hi, Rex. And yeah, Twitch is twitching right now. I can tell on my end.
My lord Marquis. Your lord uncle bade me escort the field marshal to his manor in Port Isolde.
And I will see that my associate joins you there.
Very good, my lord.
Yeah, my first thought was the Dame, but we'll see. This was one of the chained quests, which means the results of the other side quests could bleed into this.
An envoy. I'm not sure I'm the man to talk anyone round. I can barely convince my brother to take his medicine. No. This is a job for someone with experience. Someone like Quentin.
Ah!
I hope I can convince him at least.
See? Looks like the Quentin quest is the one that specifically triggered this one. Listen, we need someone who's terrifying, creepy, and horrifying. Wait, what? What was that last one? Ah, don't worry about it. Let's actually start over here. Oh, I know Von Falkenstein. I'm not sure if I'll wear this long term. And of course I'm going to put on the shirt that my other parents brought. I think the term just kind of stuck, Logue. Now, if I move a bunch, it's even worse with Falkenstein. Or here, if I just shift a little, this is probably even worse. If I just shuffle around a little bit. But yes, I agree with you, Saddlezilla. Some of the trash problem, which is what I call that, is definitely present in this game. In both directions, even. Some of the trash is too trash, and some of the trash is too arduous. Probably the one aspect of enemy design that's been consistently good is the boss fights, and even that stumbles a few times. But yeah, we've given something like 16 pluses to bosses in this game, so I don't have anything else to add to that.
Quentin, I have a proposal for you.
Do you now? Something tells me you'll be asking more of me than a cask of Gotand gold. Propose? You'd have me convince the chiefs and chamberlains of the realm that they should simply swallow their pride and do the one thing that has proved impossible for thousands of years. Was there anything else? Perhaps I can fetch you a meat pie as well.
I know it's a lot to ask, but I can think of none better suited to the role.
And you'd have me give up what little I have left to do it. I told you, Clive. The people of Lostwing are my family, and I cannot abandon them. You'll have to find someone else.
I'm sorry to hear that.
So am I.
And why might that be?
What he's asking. How's it any different to what you've done so far? They want you to speak for those who can't speak for themselves. That's what you do best. If it's the vineyard you're worried about, we'll see that the grapes are picked and the tons filled. You know we will.
It's not that.
Then what is it? You said yourself we're family. Don't you trust us?
You know that's not what I'm...
Then what are you saying? That only we are worth saving? Why turn your back on everyone else? You convinced us we could build new lives for ourselves, and if you can do that, who's to say you couldn't convince the entire realm?
A stirring argument. I fear that any rejoinder I make might fall somewhat flat by comparison.
So you'll join us?
Where do you need me?
Field Marshal Havel will want to speak with you in person. He's currently in Port Isolde. I can arrange for a party of Cursebreakers to accompany you there.
That would be very much appreciated. I hear the roads are far from safe these days.
Hopefully not for long. My uncle will want to know that his plan is taking shape.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell is going on with our connection to Twitch. It looks like it is on their end, but let me double check that really quick. Because I have methods and means. It's on my end, unfortunately, there is, ironically, nothing I can do about that. Yeah, no, the connection is just bad right now. I do not know what's going on. Okay, no. It looks like it's on Twitch's end. That's almost unfortunate. Because there's nothing I can really do about that. Can you guys hear me smoothly at least? Oh, that is awful. Look at that. We're just dropping frames constantly right now. Well, whatever. For those of you watching on YouTube, hi. Exclusive behind the scenes. Good Lord, Twitch. Work with me, Twitch. It does not want us to get to the DLC. That's what it is. It doesn't want us to get to the DLC. It's like, no. God, we're at a 10% dropped frame rate right now. For those of you who don't understand what that means 6 out of every 60 frames aren't happening. That's also bonkers high. Our average frame rate drop rate is closer to 0. Like 0.02.
Uncle.
Jesus
I bring
Christ.
good news. The Field Marshal has agreed to your plan.
Ha! Of course he has. I didn't doubt you for a moment, dear boy.
Rutherford is accompanying him back to your manor in Porterzolder as we speak. They will await your return there. As will one other.
One other? Who, exactly?
Lord Havel was concerned that even if he could get the realm's armies to agree to an accord, he might not be as successful in convincing those with political power. He asked if I might have a solution. And I suggested a certain Imperial Lord Magistrate turned Liberator.
One of your co-conspirators?
Master Quinton would probably call me one of his. But yes.
Another outlaw, then. Just the thing we need to put these rotten politicos in their places. Good thinking, Clive.
I'm glad you approve.
The more the merrier, eh?
Uncle, assuming Havel and Quinton can solve our problem with the armies, you still haven't mentioned how we might manage the grain shortages.
Oh, don't you worry, my boy. The 7 high houses will be seeing to that. They have all agreed to make the most generous of donations. Oh, of course, it did take a little persuasion, but luckily I had some unexpected help.
From who?
Why, you, my boy. Rumor has it that you rescued the Lady Ariane's head steward Rockford from a horde of bloodthirsty bandits.
It was more of a handful.
Well, the old battle axe was so pleased. She had a shipload of talents delivered to my private docks by the next new moon. And when the other houses saw the parsimonious old crone's purse strings finally loosen, they as good as tripped over themselves in the rush to follow suit.
I'm happy to hear it.
Now, I must be getting back to the manor. Join us there at your earliest convenience, would you?
Of course, Uncle.
Interesting.
And how, pray tell, will we get that grain to the capital if the roads are still overrun with Akashic?
You'll find another bloody road. I only have so many men, and I'm not about to send them headlong into an ether flood. That is, unless you'd have them turn as well.
Well, I'd certainly eat less.
Says the man with a belly bigger than a band of curls. My soldiers actually need their rations. Without any food to keep them going, they'll be dead even before you've sent them on your fool's errand.
If I may, gentlemen, perhaps I might suggest an alternative approach. Though supply routes are indeed disrupted, there is no shortage of ships. Indeed, they bob away in every bay from here to Randalar, awaiting a safe haven. Allow them to make port and fill their bellies full of grain. And once those who crowd the cities are fed, ferry the displaced back to the countryside to work the fallow fields. But I'm sure that you wish to continue your discussion. Forgive the interruption. 2 such firm friends as yourselves need no help from the likes of me. Rutherford spoke fondly of the great bond between you.
Us? Friends? I can't stand the man.
Clive, I'm beginning to question the quality of the company you keep.
And what kind of company were you expecting him to keep? The man's a criminal.
Criminal? How dare you? You are not fit to breathe the same air as this fine, upstanding young gentleman.
Upstanding? He calls himself Sid the Bloody Outlaw.
Once more onto the breach.
Shall we begin again? What we seek here is not to create a new nation, nor to claim the thrones of those that already exist. We wish simply to bring stability to the realm that mankind might weather the current storm. And to do that, we must convince those in power, the generals, the statesmen, the nobles, that our cause is just. There will be disagreements, yes, and I imagine some resistance, much resistance. But we cannot let that deter us. If we show them the path, show them that we walk it ourselves, then I am confident they will follow. The fate of the world lies in my nephew's hands, but the well-being of her people lies in ours. And we must not squander the chance that Clive has given us.
Uncle Byron,
Now, with that settled, let's move on to the signing of the Accord. For what great moment in history hasn't been accompanied by a little ceremony? Citizens of Valisthea, I present to you the Triunity. Rutherford, Mike Will. Well, my boy, the stage is set.
that it is.
This is the role you were born for. Now I ask only that you trust in the talents of your supporting cast. We shall play our parts to the best of our abilities, that you might have the opportunity to shine. The realm needs its Sir Crandall, and there is no better Crandall than you, Clive. I want you to keep this signed accord as proof of our faith in you.
I will. Thank you, Uncle.
What do you think that thing is?
It's a damn distraction. That's what it is.
And how the hell is Sid gonna deal with that?
I have to comment on how funny that is. Clive, you need to trust your supporting cast. They've been better characters than you almost top to bottom. Okay, so this it? Is this it? Okay, we're ready to start the final 2 side quests. Until we get to the DLC.
Ah, Clive.
Joshua, what's wrong? And don't say nothing.
It's not nothing. I've received word from Cyril. The Undying have found Father's will, or something akin to it.
His will? How and where?
In the crypt beneath Rosalith Castle. After Kupka was kind enough to drive out the Imperials, the Undying took the opportunity to recover what relics of the Duchy yet remained. And in the process of doing so, they found a letter from Father.
I'm surprised anything survived down there.
Cyril asked that I join him in Tabor at my convenience. I have been meaning to go, but would you join me?
Of course. I want to know what's in that letter as much as you do.
Very well. I am ready to leave when you are.
No, yeah, we were talking about this yesterday. I don't know if you were here for that particular part, Rack. Sorry. It really is indicative of how apocalyptic this setting is. Like, this world is Shrek'd. Like, they're just... The only FF I can think of that is more ruined than this one is 15. And that is really saying something.
Your Grace, my lord, I trust your journey was not overly onerous.
Cyril, you found a letter from Father?
Yes, I have it here. If you would do us the honor, my lord.
Yeah, 2's the other one I usually consider as being pretty high up. I know that I ask much of you in this coming war, but I see no other way to secure a future for our duchy and our family. Yet even should we succeed in subduing the savages and winning back Drake's breath, the threat of the Blight still looms, and only with all of Rosaria striving as one might we at last overcome it. I've made plans to see us through, but such are the obstacles that stand in our way that it shall lightly fall to you to continue my work. I know that you have the strength and the courage and the will to do so. This shall be an arduous inheritance, and so I offer you another, that you may both be reminded of the love and the faith that I hold in both of you.
An inheritance?
It would seem the late Archduke penned this missive shortly before his passing.
The day before we left for Phoenix Gate.
What are these plans he spoke of?
His plans for the duchy, Your Grace. Your father entrusted them to my predecessor, the former bearer of the Burning Quill, who entrusted them in turn to me. The complete emancipation of bearers is their stated aim. But your father's dream did not end there. His Grace also spoke of building hospices to care for those stricken by the curse, and the founding of a new university to further the development of non-magical technologies. With the blight spreading ever more widely across the twins, Archduke Elwyn saw this as the only means of securing Rosaria's survival.
He wished to see men and bearers treated as equals. To see centuries of common wisdom overturned. Small wonder he did not think it achievable within his lifetime.
But he thought it achievable nonetheless. Had he not, he would never have written this message. Nor would he have entrusted his vision to his most faithful aides, those who would have stood with you, shielded you from the machinations of the less benevolent personages at court.
It's a pity only they are still with us.
'Tis true that those most loyal to your father were the first to suffer the Duchess's wrath. But one at least remains, and she has come bearing gifts.
What do you mean?
Mayhap it is better that she explain, my lord. After all, the duties entrusted to me by my predecessor extended only to recovering His Grace's will and arranging a meeting with the one who might execute it, or a part of it at least.
And where is this woman?
She awaits you in the archive, Your Grace.
Thank you, Cyril. Shall we then?
Oh, and to give my opinion on the matter. I would say this world was completely doomed until we showed up, which is funny because we're integral to Ultima's plan. But if we were to presume a situation in which there was no mythos at all, so Ultima's still just waiting around, waiting for stuff to happen, this world was already extremely close to the end, right, to the brink. Like, there's no salvaging this, honestly. Not at this point and not at this rate. Especially since, you know, the crystals were still sapping everything up. So not only would everyone die, probably killing them each other on the way out, but Ultima and all of his species would die out too, because they would never be able to gain a physical vessel and leave the planet as planned. So yeah, that's pretty much game there.
My lord, your grace. I hardly recognize you. I am Goditha, retainer of House Rosfield, loyal servant to the Phoenix and his shields. Your father, the Archduke Elwyn, entrusted me with the delivery of a gift. I only hope you can forgive my tardiness in bringing it to you.
Lift up your head, Lady Goditha. You have our gratitude for your service to our house and to our father.
I merely did my duty, as any proud Rosarian would.
My lady, perhaps you could explain a little more? What exactly is the gift you bring?
As I'm sure you know, it has long been the custom for the children of House Rosfield to be presented with certain keepsakes upon their coming of age.
Indeed it has. Our father often spoke of the day when our turn would come.
And had he lived to see it, he would have presented you with the treasures I bear. Matching armbands for you both. Alas, he did not live. Indeed, he was taken from us even before they could be completed. He had intended to claim the Heartstone with which each armband was to be finished himself, but it was not to be. And his gifts remain incomplete.
I see.
It saddens me to bring them before you, as they are. It was your father's wish that you be presented with the finished articles, not these works in progress. But with his grace long since gone, and the stone left unclaimed, I had little choice. You are grown men now, and his house is yours. And while I would not presume to insist upon your claiming the Heartstone in his stead, I know that nothing would have pleased him more than for you to do so.
Thank you, Lady Goditha.
What say you, Clive?
What else? Of course, my lady. May our father's will be done.
Oh, I am much obliged.
Do you know where we might find this Heartstone, my lady?
I do. Though it may be a matter of a good deal more than simply happening upon it. It is found in the bellies of elder griffins, you see. We do at least know where to find one. A certain specimen has made its nest in Titan's Wake, not far from here.
A certain specimen?
You are most perceptive, Your Grace. In answer to your unspoken question, yes. In fact, this is the very same beast your father meant to slay. I have been tracking its movements since you were but a boy. Were you to slay it in his stead, as men of House Rosfield, it would surely make your father proud.
What say you, Joshua?
What else?
No, I think you're right, Matt Overlord. Although, I'm with Rax. Not that we've really gotten to that point yet, but the mere fact that Ultima can get angry at all actually diminishes his character for me personally. Among several other things.
Eyes peeled, Joshua.
You think so little of me, Rax.
There it is. For House Rosfield.
Never act. Or, I mean, hi, what's up? But thank you very, very much. Pause that. As always, I do appreciate you being a part of the show. D block, entropy 0, 2, Undertale yellow. Admittedly, I'm trying to reserve judgment, but as of this exact moment in time, Ultimate is already multiple negatives. We'll see if they actually do anything with them in the finale. I don't anticipate much. We'll see, though. We'll see. Wouldn't be the first time I've been surprised at the last minute. It's true. Mass Effect 3 surprised me at the last minute. Oh god.
Nice try.
Yeah, I'm curious too, Rex. Ooh.
This one.
Jesus, game. Work with me here.
Too slow. For you, brother. All yours, Torgal. Is this the Heartstone?
I expect Lady Goditha will know.
Oh, thank the Founder you were safe. The Griffin is slain then?
And the Heartstone claimed.
Yes. This radiant luster, like frozen flame. It is just as your father described it. Thank you, my lord. Your grace. Your father would be so proud.
Lady Goditha, the lapidary is ready.
Thank you, Cyril. I will be with him shortly. If you would excuse me, I shall have the stone cut and set forthwith.
Interesting random thought. Thinking across the various FFs when the main villain was introduced. Because, like, it varies, right? Like, in FF4, Zemus wasn't introduced until way towards the end of the game. Same thing with FF3. In FF2, however, we know about the main villain from the intro, literally from the moment we hit the start button. And in FF1, we don't know until the very... Well, that's debatable, but in FF1, it's the first boss of the game. So, like, very beginning, very end. Then we get to FF5, where it's a little bit more in between, about, say, at the 1/3 mark. In FF6, it's very early on again, like, essentially in the intro. And then in FF7, it's in the intro, but much later in the intro. We don't even, like, hear the word Sephiroth until we're doing the Shinra Tower sequence. In FF8, that's when we start to get a little bit debatable, because we see and interact with the main villain relatively early on, we just don't know it yet. Still, we get characterization for and presentation for it relatively early. In FF9, assuming we count Kuja as the main villain, he doesn't show up until the end of the first disc, quite a ways into the game, probably the farthest in so far other than 3 and 4. 10, I'm not sure what we call as 10's main villain, but if we go with Seymour being it, he also takes quite a while to be introduced. Like, not necessarily percentage-wise, but it is hours and hours before we ever interact with Seymour. Then we move forward to 12. Vane is introduced pretty early on. He's right there immediately after the intro. And then 13... I feel like counting... Oh, God, I can't think of his damn name. Jackass as the villain of 13. He shows up pretty early, relatively speaking. 13.2, he shows up right in the intro. 13.3, he shows up right in the intro. I was just visiting with my other parents, Spartan. That's all. Hence the new outfit. And then 14... Let's not talk about 14. 15... Arden shows up very early. Like the first time we go to the harbor, if I'm remembering correctly. And then we've got this, where Ultima shows up 10, 15 hours in, something like that. I don't know, it's... sorry, I don't mean to keep derailing here. It's just, it is interesting to think about when exactly each main villain actually gets introduced to the character. Introduced to the characters, excuse me. And by characters, I mean players. Oh my god. When each main villain gets introduced to the players. Oh yeah, I forgot 10 too. And yeah, Shuyin's a weird one, but for all intents and purposes, his real introduction is when we first go to the far plane. And that is way into the game. Might be the latest percentage-wise of all the ones we've discussed so far, other than 3 and 4, both of which are at the outro. Oh yeah, then there's Final Fantasy Tactics. That's kind of a weird one. Because we're introduced to who is functionally the main villain very early on, but we don't even do anything with Ultima until the last dungeon, the last 2 missions there. Anyways.
The armbands are complete. Pray, take them. They are yours, after all. Heartstone is harder and more enduring than garnet, or even ruby. It symbolizes unwavering will and devotion, and the graven vines encircling the stone represent the unbreakable bonds between you.
It's a message. Father knew we had enemies both inside and outside the duchy. Enemies who would thwart his vision. Only with unwavering devotion would it ever be realized.
And only if we stood together, as Phoenix and Shield. As brothers in arms. Only then might those enemies be overcome.
Indeed. His Grace knew the enormity of the task he would entrust to you, his heirs. But this was more than just a message. It was a promise. That he would always be with you.
Thank you, Lady Goditha, for remaining the steadfast custodian of our father's will.
Forgive me, my lady, but there is something I don't quite understand. The Undying told me that after Father died, Mother claimed all of the ducal treasures for her own. Even if the armbands were incomplete, she would surely not have overlooked them. So, how were you able to keep them from her?
Because I was the keeper of the vault. Though I was but a lowly servant, your father spoke to me of his intentions for the bands, of the deep love he had for both of you, and his hopes for your future. In the days before the disaster at Phoenix Gate, I discovered that the Duchess had ordered her jewelry be sent away from the castle. It was then that I knew she meant to betray us. I tried to warn your father, but it was too late. When word of the fire reached Rosalith, I knew my time was short. So I took up the armbands and I fled into the night.
And thank the Founder you did.
Yet my duty to your father was incomplete. Not knowing what else to do, I followed the Griffin, thinking I might claim the Heartstone on its passing. And so my pursuit continued, until Lord Cyril appeared before me. He informed me that His Grace's will had been recovered, and that his sons were alive and well.
Lady Goditha, on behalf of my father and all the people of Rosaria, I thank you for your loyal service.
As do I.
Thank you, my lord. Your Grace, for coming back to us, for giving my service meaning.
Also, one final comment about villain introduction. Chrono Trigger's villain introduction was essentially perfect. It happens only like an hour and a half into the game, but there's no hint of it whatsoever until it just smacks you right in the face. And from that point onward, he is the central pillar of the entire story. Interestingly enough, Kefka kind of fulfills the same requirement.
The bands suit you well. It must be gratifying to finally receive the inheritance that was denied you for so long.
It is. And we thank you for the part you played, Cyril.
If you would permit me to play my part a little longer, might I suggest that you make your way to your father's memorial atop Hawk's Cry Cliff? Let him see that you have received his blessing, and that his vision lives on in you.
I suppose it would be churlish not to. What do you say, Clive? Shall we pay Father a visit?
I think we should. I was hoping to be able to offer him my thanks before we left for Origin.
Your father's helm is enshrined there. It has been since the day we recovered it from Phoenix Gate. I prithee claim it, for it too is a part of your inheritance, and I do not doubt that your father would prefer it in your hands than perched upon some lonely rock.
Thank you, Cyril.
And I've been saying that all week, Settlezilla.
He's waiting.
This game needed an editing pass.
Unwavering will and an unbreakable bond. Do you really think we're strong enough?
To save the world? Of course. To have overcome Father's political enemies? Of that I'm less certain. Especially knowing what we know now. What Mother was truly capable of. But perhaps these bands would have helped. Knowing he was with us would have made all the difference.
Oh, absolutely, little one. It's worth noting that Geshtal is also revealed very early. And Geshtal has a near constant presence in the story.
It's just back there.
And, I mean, if you really think about it, he really was kind of the actual driving element of the story for quite a while there. Exactly, Dream Whisperer.
Father always fought for what he believed was right. It wasn't until that night at Phoenix Gate that I realized I had never fought for anything. I always had someone else to do the fighting for me.
No matter how fate conspired against him, he never lost heart, never looked back, never stopped fighting. To me, he was the greatest of men. And I've been trying to live up to his ideals ever since.
We all have, Clive. We all have. And we'll keep trying. Because that's what he would have wanted.
What he would have done himself. Even if it meant standing against the very gods in the heavens.
I shall be borrowing this, Father, if I may. That you might watch over us as we follow in your footsteps.
We won't lay you down.
Onward then.
Onward. To the end.
And to a new beginning.
Also known as another side quest. Thank you, Ross, for the sub. As always. And you know the statement. You know the question. Oh, by the way, I'm not even joking. We have just unlocked another side quest. Speaking of... And yeah, I'm with Saddlezilla. It's a both there, Venters. I have not tried the challenge stones yet. And I have tried the mouse and keyboard thing. Control scheme. I'll do it off camera at some point. The challenge stones. I really want to get on with it, you know? Really, really, really want to get on with it. So that's going towards Fire Emblem, 3 ounces, Lucia 2R, and the Awful Block. Like, it's slowly starting to irritate me more and more. We haven't even reached the DLC yet. We still haven't decided how many negatives that is. Oh my god, okay, so. Etta seems fond of the silver bow we gave her, so much so that she's been taking to setting it atop her belly as she rests. To hear her tell it, the rascal kicks something fierce when she does, too. Sounds like we had another fighter on our hands, and none too soon. I can hardly wait to teach her into his little curse book everything I know. Although we can all celebrate first. No need to get ahead of ourselves now. Thank you, Ross. It was a gift from my other mother. Today, actually. You have my sincerest gratitude for reuniting me with Master Harpocrates. That I might embark upon this most important of journeys, my heart free of regret. Though in the past few moons I have come to realize the longer I spend in the company of you and your brother, the deeper I find myself in your debt. I must swiftly see to the menace that is Ultima. Now we got side quests to do. Thank you, Clive, for indulging the whims of this doddering old soul. I'm ashamed that for far too many years I allowed stubbornness and fear to keep me from something as simple as letting a friend know how proud I was of him. Your intervention has lifted a heavy pall from my heart. Perhaps your triumphant return from the skies... you might be inclined to set to page the quill I gifted you. There are many of us who would like to hear a first-hand account of your time with the Holy Prince, myself included. Bringing together 3 men from different backgrounds was not to be without some difficulty. However, come together we did for a better Valisthea. The triunity was but a first step. A longer, more bitter journey awaits us all, one that will almost certainly end in hardship. Yet what matters most is not the destination, but what we can learn from each other on the road there. You have paved that road for us with your courage, Clive. Now we must have the courage to walk it. Yeah, if you noticed, I haven't actually given the negative yet, Rex. I'm almost assuredly going to, but I'm holding off on it until we see what the DLCs actually do. If it's full-on side story content, then oh my god. But we'll see. Do you remember what I told you the night at the Phoenix Gate? That while the fate of Rosaria sits on my shoulders, the fate of the Dominant sits on yours. But are we not both dominants of fire? Does not the flame of our forebears still burn in our hearts? Should I not protect you as you have protected me? You have chosen to be my shield, and let me choose to be yours. Is this not what Father wanted? What Cid wanted? To cast aside fate and forge your own path? Grant me this, Clive. Let me be your strength. Also, as a further aside, several people have been talking about the structure of this game, and I agree overall. I've been giving my thoughts all week about that. But I also want to say one other little tidbit, because I keep pushing this thought. This game really feels like kitchen sink material. For those of you not aware, the kitchen sink mentality is when a particular creator, whether they're making a book, a show, a game, or a movie, thinks they'll never get a chance to make another one, either of that type or in that category, in that franchise, or whatever. So they throw in every idea they possibly can because they don't want to miss out. Baldur's Gate 3 is an excellent example of this, a game that has an absolutely onerous amount of content in it because they knew, and they were right, by the way, that was their only chance to do something in the Forgotten Realms. So they put their all into it, and clunk. And this game feels a lot like that too. It feels like they just really wanted to do this because there were concerns that they would be shackled to FF14 for the remainder of their days. And, well, given what's happening at Square under the hood right now, I think they were right. Because, well, no, that's even part of what I'm talking about, Matter of Lord. COVID hitting during production of this game hurt everything. And Square has been making dumb decisions for decades. So, yeah, what I think FF17 will look like. It'll be a text adventure, basically like Zork, and it'll be 20 minutes long. So, whoops. Let's start what is hopefully the final side quest until we go do the
if
DLCs.
Joshua was worried about Jill,
It'll be made by people in 4chan. We're still missing 3. Considering how much we've done, that's a little bit surprising.
Joshua, I read your message. You're right. Jill is different.
How would you know?
I don't think I'd realized how different, but since we returned from Drake's spine, I've felt it more and more.
I suppose it's not hard to imagine why.
She doesn't think she belongs anymore.
And that's why we need to remind her she is still one of us. To let her know that we still need her, now more than ever. That you still need her. But how to do that? When last we were truly close, we were but children.
Of course. Do you remember the time we accompanied Father on his annual tour of the Duchy? And Jill and I broke from the procession to ride up Man's Hill.
To see the snow daisies, I remember. It was the first time Father had allowed us to join him. And when he realized you were missing, he had the entire retinue down to the pot boys combing the countryside.
In the rain. A thunderstorm forced us to take refuge in a grove of oaks before we'd even made it halfway there. It was the Lord Commander who finally found us, and needless to say, he was none too pleased.
Then it seems you and Jill have unfinished business. What do you say?
Man's Hill. It's not that far.
Oh, true. Though I suspect it is also much changed. Little in southern Rosaria remains as it was when we were children.
You're saying I should go and scout the area for bandits?
I'm saying we should first go and see if there are actually still any snow daisies left. What would you do without me, Clive?
I need to pull up that frickin' Venn diagram I made. And just share it. Obviously, it's a little out of date now because I made it years ago. Oh god, how do I even do this? Did they make Twitter's... They made Twitter's loadout even worse, didn't they? Oh, of course they did. Where are my tweets? How can I find my tweets? You'd think that would be an easy thing to find. Here we go. Jesus. It actually wasn't in my profile, nor was it in the upper left. I had to search for Lore Runner, and then click that to pull up my goddamn tweets. Anyways. Where's the stupid thing? There it is. Found it. Now how do I link the thing? This should be good right here, maybe. And then like this. There we go. So for anybody curious, I threw this together more or less just for fun. Back 3 years ago now. So a little out of date. So purple is games that have the tone of a Final Fantasy game. Red are games that are primary Final Fantasy games. Orange are side games that are connected to the main FF games. Yellow are side games that are not connected to the main franchises. And then greens are games that have nothing to do with anything. They're actually a completely separate franchise, but they happen to have Final Fantasy in the name somewhere. And then white, which you can't even see here, is stuff that happens to have Final Fantasy in the name. I bring this up, though, because this goes back to Wenlock's question. Does this qualify? Is this something that qualifies as a Final Fantasy game? You may or may not notice that I put 13 and 15 as a no on that one, for example. Yeah, exactly, Rex. Like I said, this is not exactly definitive, and I'm not even sure I agree with myself in the past here. But you get the general idea of what I was going for, because a lot of games have Final Fantasy in the name. But how many of those are Final Fantasy games is a much more interesting question. Both literally and more thematically in terms of atmospheric tone. You'll also notice I added both Dissidia Duodecim and Chrono Trigger. Have you played those games, Loke? Kingdom Hearts? Ooh, that's actually a tough one. Kingdom Hearts definitely has its own vibe at this point. But... I feel like I'd put Kingdom Hearts in green, but not in white. In other words, down there by like Vagrant Story or Bravely Default. I'm not bashing FF15, Game for Chill. I just don't think it's an FF game. And I stand by that, I should mention. But then again, I say the same thing for FF13. But what Saddlezilla said is actually extremely valid. Because what exactly is a Final Fantasy game is something that they haven't determined yet. Never mind us. The FF games have varied wildly over the years, and, well, it's because they're not really designed to be anything other than their mainline franchise.
This is the place, but...
I'm sorry, Clive.
Hang on, to finish my thought really quickly. Dragon Quest has an extremely defined tone to it, which they started developing in 3 and officially codified in 4. And Dragon Quest has been Dragon Quest ever since, from 4 all the way up to 11. There's no questioning that it's a Dragon Quest game, right? Final Fantasy, a little bit more nebulous.
Has nowhere been spared. What do we do now?
Hell, I disagree with my diagram. I would remove Final Fantasy II from the purples, for example.
We keep looking. Man's Hill cannot be the only place where snow daisies grow.
Perhaps, but it's the only place I know of. Knew of.
Then why not ask someone who might know of another?
Someone in the backyard. To the hideaway, then.
We literally were just there. Because Final Fantasy II is a saga game, Luke. And again, that's not a good, bad, or in-between thing. It's a saga game. That team went on to make the Saga franchise with Final Fantasy Legend 1, aka Saga 1. And there's a whole bunch of story behind that, which I will not bore you with right now.
Gardeners knows where to find snow daisies.
That was back when Square was branching off into dozens, etc. Like 5 or 6 different teams, and all of them were working on their own projects. Because they had such runaway success. Yeah, we still haven't interacted with Jill in the Jill side quest. Also, the vines have been growing.
Oh. What brings you down from the heavens, Sid?
I need your advice. Joshua and I are looking for a place where snow daisies grow. Preferably in abundance.
Snow daisies. Then you'll want somewhere not too hot and not too cold. And where the winds are strong enough to carry the seeds. I reckon Man's Hill would be a good place to start. There in the Royal Meadows, perhaps? Both have similar climbs and the right elevation. If the Blight hasn't claimed them yet.
Right. Thank you.
Did you learn where we might find our flowers?
The gardener here mentioned the Royal Meadows in Sambrak.
Ah, the fields beyond Northreach. Well, if that's the case, then Yote was right. I recalled that she kept the record of our travels, you see. So I asked her if she'd perhaps noted anywhere that snow daisies grew, and she mentioned Oilerfeist Bay.
Whose shores border the meadows. Off we go, then.
Oh yeah, Final Fantasy is definitely a vibe game. And like Rax said, whether it vibes for you or not is probably going to be varying. We can also divide it further, too. There's a, let's call it a modern Final Fantasy vibe and a classic Final Fantasy vibe. For example, 7, 8, arguably 10, really. Definitely when we get to the point of 10, too. And 13, and then 13 to 33. Would all qualify for the modern vibe. I am going the wrong way. But when we rewind a little bit, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 9, and then 12 would vibe more for the classic vibe. I'm sorry, this is a massive way of not answering your question, Wenlock. I do apologize. Yeah, there's also some trend. There's some gray in between there too. For example, I mentioned 10 in the modern vibe, which probably sounds weird, but that's because 10 is just so much more of a modern take on things. I don't know a better way to put that. That's not a good or bad thing. It's just, it's a very, very different tone. A tone they started in 7, but even 7 still kind of approaches things from the perspective of kingdoms and fields and magic. 8 was more codifying the modern tone. God. I know. It was just no. It's okay. The last modern Trek was like 2003. Anyways.
Where do we even start?
Yote mentioned the coastline. We can start there. Look, brother. You see them?
I do. The flowers and our friends. This one.
No, I'm kind of annoyed too, to be quite honest with you, Mad Overlord. Most of these late game side quests have been pretty solid. This one is just kind of what? I'm not even gonna complain about the tangible reality of what we're doing. Like, have you noticed? Oh, I can't. Oh no, I can't. Check this out, just for real. Okay, we're like, hey, we should go get some flowers for Jill. Okay, traipse. All right, so we couldn't find any flowers. Oh shoot. Why don't we ask someone back at the hideaway? Okay, Traipse. By the way, all of this takes time in lore. Oh, there's some stuff up there. No problem. Let's head up there. Walk. Okay, we might have found the flowers. Okay, in a minute, I predict what's going to happen next is walk. And we're back. What? I'm trying not to get too nitpicky about that, but they're really hand-waving some of the travel time when it comes to these side quests. Especially considering we literally have a ticking clock. And we don't have an airship. Most of the time, when we have this kind of thing at the end of an FF, we at least have a goddamn airship to zip around in. So it doesn't really bother me when you're going across continents. In this game, what we have is feet, chocobos, or a ship. And I should mention, we're landlocked. So...
This one.
Oh yeah, they've also mentioned several times that they don't want to transform more often than they have to, because of the costs associated therewith. Although, if we are literally hopping on of Joshua's back every time we go back and forth across the continent. By the way, we've also done several side quests to go over to the Ashlands. They've even mentioned we take the boat to go to the Ashlands, by the way. You've been on a sea vessel? Those are days trips on a ship. Sorry. What I'm trying to say is that in FF14, there's a reason teleporting to a spot is a lore thing, not just a gameplay thing. And there's a reason why most of these games tend to have some method of fast travel in lore. Like I said, airship being the most obvious one.
What do you see, boy?
Oh, hey, it's another fat guy. I've only fought 7,000 of these so far.
Last one.
Hell, I fought a boss that was just 3 of these guys. So, Pillars of Snow asked a question. How much do you think someone's first FF games contributes to what they consider an FF game to be? I think I am the exception that proves the rule there, because my first FF game was FF1, which I absolutely do not think is the first FF game, and absolutely has nothing to do with the vibe of an FF game. That's true, we did Game for Till, you're right. It's the same general perspective for a lot of franchises. What's your first Trek? What's your first Star Wars film? Or Star Wars exposure, I guess, at this point. What's your first Mega Man game? What's your first Zelda game? What's your first Mario game? What's your first Pokemon? You get it.
Vogel, kill! You're finished.
Believe it or not, there's only one of those where my answer is not one. It's Mega Man. By freak coincidence, I actually played Mega Man 2 before I played Mega Man 1. I've told that story.
But Founder, it was worth it. They're beautiful.
Oh yeah, Sonic, which my first Sonic game was Sonic 1.
Do you think Jill will like them?
She'll love them. Come on. Let's go.
No, I've told that story, Ross. My mother started me off with TOS before TNG ever came out. In fact, I can even tell you the exact first episode of Star Trek I ever saw because I commented on it during the rooms. I can't remember the name of it right now. It's the Old West one. The Nightmare one.
It appears my work is done. The rest, as they say, is up to you. Well, you and the skies. We wouldn't want another thunderstorm now, would we?
Oh yeah, we also, I was right, by the way, we just traipsed all the way back across the continent. Again. Oh, and in answer to your statement, Loke, I think that was? Because it's already scrolled off the screen. I'm going off of their statements. During one of the briefings, they mentioned that a boat from here to here would take about a week. And so instead they were going to go from here to here across the desert, which would only take a few days. Their words, not mine. And yes, TMP was my first Star Trek film. My first Bond film was Goldmember. Oh god, I can't remember the second thing. Gold something. Goldfinger. Thank you. I'll be right back. Moonraker? Oh my god. It's actually not a sweater. Here, hang on. Just to show it off briefly. Because this is a gift from my other mother. Here's what it actually looks like. It's really nice material. Very soft, very comfortable. I'm not sure what the material is. This is hand stitched. She made it to my measurements, which is why you can kind of tell, right? Because it's very broad, and I'm a pretty broad guy. I am built a little bit like a blacksmith, as was mentioned earlier, and yeah, you can kind of see the pattern there. Now I'm going to go back here and hide in the corner. Yes, Equalitas. Alright, here it is. Jill! In the Jill side quest.
Jill, there's something I'd like to show you.
There is? And where might this something be?
It's, not here. Now, I know this is sudden, but how would you fancy a trip to Oriflamme?
No. We're not... Oh my god, and now we're going all the way back across the... Oh my god. I think it's cotton. It's good cotton, though. It's good quality.
There are so many. This is what you wanted to show me. I don't know what to say.
You don't need to say anything. The smile on your face is enough. We've been worried about you, Joshua and I. Do you remember when I took you to Man's Hill? Or tried to?
How could I forget? You saw me crying and thought a change of scenery might lift my spirits. In the end, it earned me a nasty cough and a stern scolding from your mother. But I felt wonderful nonetheless.
I'm sorry. I had no idea what I was getting us both into. But I couldn't bear to see you like that.
Before we left, my chambermaid told me she'd overheard your mother talking about my marriage prospects with some of the noblewomen at court. They were debating whether it would be more profitable to marry me off to one of the high houses instead of saving me for the ducal line. No one thought to ask me what I wanted. I was nothing to them. A pawn at best. I felt so trapped, so lonely.
I didn't know.
But I wasn't alone. You were there. Your hand in mine as we ran for those oaks. And I knew then, no matter what happened, I would be all right. I'll never forget that feeling.
Oh, thank God. I was going to be pissed if that was it. Like, that was nice, but come on.
Before we broke camp, the morning after the storm, do you know what I did?
No? What?
I slipped away from my governess to climb the tor. And from there I saw a sea of petals, all reaching for the sun. And I realized that no matter how terrible the night, dawn would always come. That you would always come for me. And you have. Again and again.
Where do you see us? When all this is over?
Don't know. Not here, though. I think I've outgrown the twins. After everything we've been through, the realm just seems so small. I'll need some space to spread my wings.
Then that's what you'll have. And I'll stop at nothing to see that you do.
I never was much good at garlands, but it'll have to do.
I'll treasure it forever.
Thank you, Clive. For this, the flowers, for everything. It's exactly what I needed. You are my treasure.
We should probably be getting back. I expect the others are wondering where we are.
You're right. There's still much to do.
And we'll do it together.
We did it. We have unlocked the DLC. God damn. I thought we'd have that like an hour or two ago. Jesus Christ. No, I know. We do Echoes first. I actually bothered to look that up. Ignoring narrative possibilities of the two being relevant to each other, the fact is, apparently Rising is quite brutal. In fact, we might throw up the cheat flag for Rising. We'll see. Speaking of, let's take off those stupid rings. Okay, so I want... what do I want? I don't want Genji gloves. Full darkness and Berserker's ring. There it is. Let's double check the crafting, make sure we're as geared as we're getting.
Yep. What's that for you, dear?
There it is. Oh yeah, 6 more health. Worth it.
Not bad.
This is our reward for doing the hunts, by the way.
Anything else?
And yeah, we've had Guthrum on for quite a while. Actually, I don't think we did. There was one last renown thing, which I didn't have when I finished all the hunts. But we've done some stuff since then. So let's delay the DLC even longer and see if we can get it now. Yep. Anyway, God. I believe this is the last renown.
Oh, I wasn't expecting you back.
Yep. Fallen Enigma, whatever that is.
All yours. Best of luck out there, Sid.
It looked like a crafting item. Yeah, I'm kind of hoping the DLC gives us a little bit better gear. Because, again, I've heard some mean things. Like, the thing we're about to do is apparently harder than the final boss, and, well, the thing after that is even harder. And we're as geared as it's possible to be right now.
What's that for you, dear?
Yeah, I don't see anything here.
That it? Fine.
Valuable can be traded for Gil. That's a good question, little one. Speaking of which, let's make sure we buy some stuff.
Still alive, are ya?
Oh, we finished all the hunts.
Somewhat be quick
They're
about
completely
it.
done at this point.
You're rubbing me blind, you know. It'd better all be here. You're rubbing me blind, you know.
I'll just buy everything. Why not?
You'll not find a better price than that. It'd better all be here. Finished, are you? Clive.
Is something the matter, Karen? You seem perturbed.
Do I now? How clever of you to notice. But yes, something's come to my attention, and I'll be damned if I know what to make of it.
Go on.
It's probably quicker if I just show you. Here.
Some sort of crystal. Though, I don't remember seeing one that color before.
Aye, well, that makes two of us. In all my long years of trading, both over and under the counter, I've never seen anything quite like it. They're calling them dusk crystals, on account of colour.
I see. And they could be used to cast magics.
That they can. Just like their brighter, shinier cousins. Difference is, they don't last as long. After a couple of goes lighting your pipe, they crumble away to nothing. That's how I heard about them. From crystal traders moaning that someone's been flooding the market with dodgy goods. And after asking the right people the right questions, and paying the right price, of course, I managed to get my hands on a sample.
I see why you're perturbed.
Hey, Hope. Do you feel that, Clive?
Yes.
All right, lads, that'll do for today. I said that'll do for today.
Yes, Chief. Yes, Chief.
Let's get this lot back to town, fill our purses and then our bellies. What did you two do now?
Please tell us you want another lantern.
Stay calm, both of you. Who needs a lantern when you've got one of these? Oh, all that work for a single spark. Well, there'll be no more sampling the merchandise today.
That sounded close, Chief. Really close. Really, really close.
Now, lads, what am I always telling you? Good things come to those who run!
Wait for us, Chief!
Hi, Omega. Great.
I've never felt a tremor this far inland before.
Me neither. But then, I'd never seen skies like these till a few moons ago, and it's been all change ever since. Come to think of it, the first anyone ever heard of these dust crystals was after you lot came back from the Dominion and brought this bloody weather with you.
Do you think the two things are connected?
Who knows? Could just be that with Drake's tail gone, the black market was running short of the good stuff. The Dominion's mines were the only source of new shards left in Storm after a certain evil outlaw decided to do away with the other mothers. And with the price of decent crystals going through the roof, traders turned to dealing in stuff they'd never have touched before.
The question is, who's selling these crystals and where are they? Wait. This color. They couldn't be from Origin, could they? No, that wouldn't make sense. I saw it form in the sky, and that was long after we returned from the Dominion. But if they didn't come from Origin or any of the other mother crystals, then... does that mean...
That you missed one? Aye. That were my thinking, any road. Another mother crystal we didn't know about.
I'll speak with Joshua. If you're right about this, we need to find it.
And quick, I'd say. On account of which, I'll take this shard over to Tomes for you. Get him to give it a once-over, case it rings any bells.
Right. Thank you.
And I expect you'll be wanting Jill's help with this, too.
Right again. I will. Let me go and find Joshua, and we'll meet you in the shelves.
They actually did a different song for the DLC. That's kind of funny. First of all, thank you, Ryman, as always. I will put that towards the BRPG block, but remember, you can pick up to 3 things, and you can put the other 2 towards Dealer's Choice or towards a specific genre if you have a preference. Second of all, in response to Rax's comment about Omega being fun at 14, all I have to say to that is Larbird. Apparently, we're just stuck in DLC mode right now.
Joshua, we need to talk. Karen's caught wind of something that I don't think we can afford to ignore.
I know the end of the world is happening, but it's already been like several months. Who cares for several months more?
Aye. That is troubling. Not least because the Undying made no mention of these dusk crystals in any of their recent reports.
So they weren't aware of them either?
Perhaps. Or perhaps they merely deemed them unworthy of my attention. Wrongly, I might add, for I am inclined to share Lady Karen's misgivings.
Then we'd better take her advice and consult Hippocrates forthwith.
To the shelves, then. With our combined insight, I'm sure we'll discern something of use, be it no more than a place to start.
Let's hope so.
There you are. I've taken the liberty of telling these two everything I told you.
Thank you, Karen.
It's hard to believe such a lusterless shard could conjure much of anything. And you truly think this came from a mother crystal? One we never knew existed?
Every other shard in the Twins did. Why should these dusk crystals be any different? Dim though they may be.
We know they first appeared on the black market shortly after Ultima Car's primogenesis, darkening the skies. So might the two be connected? Could the spell have created a new mother crystal, perhaps? A replacement for the ones we destroyed?
What do you think, Hippocrates?
I think there may well be a connection. Yet, if we are to believe that the original mother crystals were of Ultima's making, does it seem likely that he would have need of anything so palpably inferior? No. I hazard that it was not Ultima who created these crystals, but humanity. More specifically, our fallen forebears, whose wonders litter the land even now. Legend holds that the fallen challenged the gods in order to win their power, and came tantalizingly close to doing so. It seems only reasonable that they should wish to learn the secrets of the crystals which the gods bestowed upon them.
So they could make their own.
Precisely. You may recall that the tale of the sins of Zemeckis begins with the Colloquy of the Sages, a council wherein humanity sought to uncover the last secrets of the gods before waging their war to learn what little remained. It is perfectly possible that an understanding of how to craft crystals was among their many achievements.
Among their many achievements, prior to their fall.
Indeed. The same enlightened souls forged great and terrible weapons called the iconoclasts, from which icons derive their name, and turned them against each other in the Magitech War. A pointless conflict which served only to make its victors more confident of their right to supplant the gods on high. And when at last they ventured to do so, the resultant imbalance in the ether is said to have been so great that the skies themselves turned black and began to boil. The first recorded arcane sky, I suspect. Which brings us back to the matter at hand. It is my belief that these shards are the product of a long-slumbering Magitech mother crystal, stirred to life by a similar etheric upheaval to the one which accompanied its creator's fall.
There's only one way to know for sure. We track down whoever's selling them and find their source. Karen, where did you buy this one?
Down in Port Isolde when I was scratching around for supplies. Since the Imperials buggered off and took the tariffs with them, you can find all sorts of interesting stuff on the docks. Go and have a chat with the mercenaries guarding the gates. Your uncle's got some good lads there. You know when to keep a watchful eye and when to turn a blind one. Oh, and take the crystal with you. Might be your key to the underworld.
Thank you. I will.
I think so, Qualitas. You got it right.
Shall we then,
Thank you again.
brother?
I'm coming too. If there is another mother crystal out there and it's anything like the others, you'll need all the help you can get.
I was hoping you'd say that. One more time then. Together.
No bets on the idea that Omega is the thing defending the crystal. Here's a real question. Do you think Omega was built by the Fallen, or happens to be an interdimensional traveler?
Good morrow to you, my friend. Fare thee well, my friend. Knowledge hoarded is...
Because not every Omega is the same Omega, after all. In fact, very few of them are.
Now this, I believe you will find most interesting.
Oh, hey, Barnabas's mother. Naked, of course. One of the few surviving descendants of the children of Zemeckis, who fled from Valisthea and took refuge in the Outer Continent, only returning generations later. She and her clan were devout believers in the Circle of Malleus, whose teachings she instilled in her son. Teachings and memories that he treasures to this day. Alas, her beliefs were to prove her downfall, as she was killed in a raid by followers of a rival religion. While in bed with her son. Alright, That's why I was asking Doom Rider. Because I could see that going all kinds of ways.
What subject shall we consider today?
It's him, I tell you.
You know what? You know what? Oh, thank you. I know nobody in the world cares or acknowledges or even has the same vibe I do on things like music. But goddamn, I just physically unclenched a little bit. Yep, that's all but two, looks like. But only one of them's purple, so I am missing one. I wonder which one. Feels like a lifetime ago. It was a lifetime ago. That afternoon on Man's Hill was our first adventure, but somehow I knew even then it would not be our last. I'll never forget that day, and the simple fact that you will not either fills my heart with a joy so fierce I cannot describe it. Since the moment we first met, you've always been an important part of me. The half that makes me whole. When times are darkest, you are my light, and when I'm lost, you're my guiding star. You are just what I need. You are all that I need. You are the greatest gift. I thought about doing it earlier, but I wanted to, I don't know, experience the game as is without just conforming it to myself. Something I've been accused of, not going to name names here, is that I have too much of a tendency to force a game to bend to my will rather than bending to its will. So I wanted to endure the it and several other things as much as possible.
Back again? What is it that you wish to learn?
Study it well, Clive. Here's the latest information I have. The state of the realm is ever-changing, Clive.
I'm not pointing fingers. Naming names. Just double-checking the map. Okay. Actually, ditto, Dream Whisperer.
Samuel, slow down! Not bloody likely!
Fuck me. They're fast on their feet.
What's going on here, I wonder?
What indeed? Let's ask.
I would play the crap out of a Western Final Fantasy game off the deep end. But then again, I'd say the same thing about a Zelda Western game, so what the hell do I know? Oh. This is our point of no return. Well, okay, I'm down for that. It's not like I have anything else to do. But since it's so close to... Yeah, exactly, Rax. Since it's so close to lunch point, why don't we cut off here? And then I'll go take a lunch break. And then when I come back, we'll actually start the DLC. Secretly, there's like 7 additional side quests we still have to go through. We're never doing it. We're never gonna make it happen. It's just not